Hey everybody, it's Thomas. Let's talk about Blood Bowl, League of Blood Bowl. This is the last week, or this was the last week of the regular season. We're going to move on to the group stage after this, so we're going to quick run through everything that happened, and then we're going to talk about some kind of broad stroke things, and then we're going to get into... Oh, Stinger is trying to get into the recording. And then we're going to try and get into some group stage predictions and all that fun stuff. So, quick things about me. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Betty leveled up, finally. Yes, she did. She tried to kill a gutter runner. It was apothecary to a badly hurt, but the axe and the claws finally struck true, and then she leveled up. Regular roll, so I gave her Mighty Blow. Block would have been, I guess, the obvious preference, but Mighty Blow, Claw, the rest of these skills make this piece pretty much perfect, and she should hopefully level up a lot faster now. Other big changes here. Guess Wire Hangers didn't get MVP, got a touchdown and an injury. Or, I don't know, just didn't quite do it. I couldn't get the ball over there again, so whatever. Touchdown and MVP did go to these two, or not these two, though. Fridge Too Far leveled up. I gave it guard, because I need more guard on this team, and this is the pretty much ideal place for it, because I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to level 4. Otherwise, I'd give it dodge first, but dodge is next in the menu, basically. So if for some reason a Fridge Too Far goes crazy and levels up, that's what will happen. Wolf and Sheep Clothing didn't do much, but Valley of the Doilies did. Also leveled up. I think this is due to MVP. No, this must have been the touchdown, and Fridge Too Far was the MVP. Either way, give this piece Mighty Blow, because I need to replace my hitting piece. Piling On is probably the next skill I will get on Valley of the Doilies. We'll see how that happens. Any other changes? Oh, yes. Might notice there's wait, no, I'm sorry. Thought I had more injuries than I did. What? Sorry. You can watch the game, obviously, over here. I sustained 1 casualty, and I remember it being terrible. But it's been so long I don't remember what it was. I think... No, I didn't fire or rehire anybody. Never mind. Oh no, it was... I'm so dumb. It's just this miss next game on Miles of Vials. I was just grumpy about it because I really want this Dauntless piece, but it's not the end of the world. No other changes on my Pit Fighter Cultist pile. They're all terribly useless as always. Back up to 1600 team value, big pile of money, and 100k, 10 fan factor. Did win 60k this week. If you haven't watched the game, it's obviously up there still. I don't know. Jessup played a little too scared, I think, but I also beat up his team pretty hard. 5 casualties sustained, 2 deaths sustained. Technically, this 3-body apothecary one. Both of his deaths were on his mercenary pieces, though. Jessup did something I think a lot of people forget you can do, and he hired a Storm Vermin with guard, which I think was a pretty good use of his inducement money. It didn't do him a lot of good because I was able to beat up his team so much, but that's fine. But yeah, 4 passes, a casualty, MVP. It's not great. It's only 11 SPP, but it's not bad. On the other hand, because I got 3 touchdowns, I have a lot of SPP. This is one of my best weeks ever. 15, 20, 21. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that. So, really good week for me, all things considered. And let's take a look at Jessup. So, 60k for Jessup, which is really good. From what I'm hearing from him, he's thinking about hiring the Rat Ogre. I don't know if that'll actually come true, but we'll see. No level ups from what I'm remembering, though. Oh, no, that's not true. Rubbish leveled up here on an MVP, I believe. Yeah, MVP in the past. So he got Kick, which is great. This team needed Kick desperately. It just hasn't really gotten the opportunity to. He's back to full strength as well because I didn't really injure anybody permanently, so good news for him there. Yeah, I mean, he said he's going to hire the Rat Ogre. We'll see what he decides to do at the end of the day. I wouldn't fault him for hiring another gutter runner, but certainly Rat Ogre would be fine. If he does the Rat Ogre, I would lean towards Rat Ogre plus lineman. This team tends to hemorrhage pieces when it's standing, and it tends to hemorrhage pieces when it gets down, obviously, because their armor value is so weak and they get ganged up on more because they're not a very strong team. So that's what I would look to for Jessup. Let's take a look at the other matches here. A lot of these happened, and by a lot of these, I mean all the rest of these matches happened last night, so I haven't had a chance to watch too much. I've seen a couple things, but not a lot. Granick versus Zack here. This is a pretty straightforward win, I think. There was some tricky moments where Zack was definitely putting up a good fight, but I think this comes down to this number here. The removal on Granick was much higher than it was for Zack, and just couldn't really keep it going. Both teams look like they were playing pretty well. I don't know. Zack never follows up when I think he should, so that made things a little bit harder, but he positioned well on some other things, so whatever. Not that great of a week for Zack, though. 9 SPP is not too bad, actually, but it's not great. It's definitely less than he needs. Granick, though, walking with 4 casualties, is pretty happy with that. 2 touchdowns and an MVP. Yeah, this was a really, really good week. 19 SPP is awesome. 60K in the bank as well. Not that she's spending her vast sums of money, which she probably should. I think she's missing at least 1 Beastman here. 13 players is probably the happy number for this team. Level ups. I don't think anybody got anything. Nope, Leopard Corinthian got MVP again. 4 for that piece. I'm not seeing any level ups, which is unfortunate because this team could really use some level ups here. Or not. Smiley is just a jerk, so who cares? But yeah, this team's still doing great. I think another Beastman would be in order, but it doesn't really matter too much. This team is relatively tough, so not too bad. Let's take a look at some of their matches here. Mostly Zack's side of things first, though. There we go. 60K for Zack is pretty good. Not that he's spending his money either. I don't think he had any level ups either. Oh, this zombie got Dauntless, so maybe this is one that was pending. I don't know. I can't remember from last week. No one big got any level ups, which is kind of the key thing. Yeah, man, I don't know where the SPP went in this team. Looks like he definitely hired another piece, which... Did he? No. I think he was at 14 plays before. It's been so long since I did this, I don't remember too well. But still, this team is doing great. I think, it has the problem a lot of the slow punchy teams have. If it gets behind, it's really hard for it to come back. But overall, I think this team is relatively stable. It just needs to get a little luckier on the hit dice. Other matches here. Oh god, this game. I haven't watched this game. I've seen the video. It was on my timeline and clicked around a little bit. Halftime was at the 16-minute mark of the video, and that includes like loading up and logging in and all that fun stuff. A little bit of a blowout by Andrew. 5 casualties, 2 of them were kills, 7 KOs as well. This team just went to town on Mark. Mark's glass cannon build basically shattered against the anvil of Andrew. Absolutely phenomenal game for Andrew. A huge reversal, actually, if you compare the first time they met, where Mark really put the hurt on Andrew. Andrew returned the favor and then some. Just a huge demolition of a team. 5 casualties, a pass, MVP, touchdown. Holy crap, that's so much. It's a ridiculous thing. Yeah, 19 SPP is really good, especially for this team. Mark walking away with a whole lot less, 1 casualty, a pass, and MVP is 8. It's definitely not what he wants, especially because he lost a bunch of players. A bunch of these casualties were minus strengths from what Mark told me as well. I haven't, again, watched it yet. Big pile of ups for Andrew, obviously, but he used them, so it's hard to know exactly where they are. Yeah, all but one of his Chaos Dwarf blockers is now level 2, so guard. This one got doubles and got claw, which is pretty scary. Hopefully it has time to get Mighty Blow. Catan Ironback hit level 4. Congratulations to him. Got Stand Firm. I really like this. Guard plus Stand Firm is a really good combination, especially on a relatively slow player like this. Keeps him from getting moved, barring Juggernaut. Mighty Blow, of course, accelerating a lot of this. Guard here, guard here. So Andrew doesn't do what I thought he would do and picked up mostly all guard, not a lot of Mighty Blow. This is fine. This much guard is terrifying. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 pieces with, 4 pieces with guard now. That's really good. His line's gonna be really hard to mess with. No big other changes here, I think. The biggest things, obviously, Minotaur's actually, no, Minotaur was 15 before, I think. Either way, a lot of pieces in really scary territory here. Phenomenal performance from Andrew, obviously. But yeah, this team is terrifying. Suffering no deaths. We'll do that, though. Let's look at Mark's poor battered squad. I'm expecting to see a lot of 2s and 3s after names here. Yep, Pierce died. Garrett died. Starburns died. Chang is missed next game with smashed ankle. Abed actually got, I want to say minus strength from what Mark told me, but was apothecaried to just to miss next game, which Mark, I'm sure, is very happy about. Messing with his stats a little bit, although Abed's been missed a game before, so not the end of the world. You'll only have one piece now that's made it through every single game. Poor Mark. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. Which won 60k, so Mark finally had to burn a bunch of his money. He's down to 80, which is not where he wants to be. I don't know. I haven't watched the game yet. From what Chris told me, it's very funny, so that could mean a lot of things. Still, rough week for Mark. This is kind of what was expected to happen to this team over time, but still. Looks like Shirley leveled up and got piling on, so that's good. Any other level ups? Annie looks like she leveled up, so Fen Tackle. It's pretty good. That might have been before, too. I don't remember. Yeah. Not a lot to say. Mark's team got beat up pretty bad. Speaking of things getting beat up, let's look at the last game of the week, which is Orville versus Chris. We'll start with Chris, our perennial sad face. And I haven't watched too much of the game. From what Chris said, they both were just... both these teams have had bad luck and ineptitude all season, and it was a pretty high watermark for that, apparently. Tie game, which is pretty impressive. Chris managed to get an interception as well, so hooray, it's not just Mark anymore. Touchdown, 2 passes. No casualties for Chris, despite Orville sustaining 2, MVP as well. So 2, 4, 7, 12, not too bad, not that great. Orville, 3 passes, casualty, a touchdown, and MVP. These are okay. I mean, 13 is 13, but this is the bigger problem he's having. Casualties, deaths, interceptions, just not good times for Orville, basically. We'll look at that in a second. But Chris, actually, only thing that really happened was miss next game on Rincewind, which, who cares? I don't know if he's going to rehire this piece, but definitely worth considering. Thrall's leveling up is not what he wants, obviously, but it's not the end of the world either. I'd like to see Kick on one of these pieces. Maybe not Carrot, but Carrot would be okay, because it's already got Wrestle. That makes it a very defensive piece. Obviously, doubles is what Chris really wants to get more guard. Yeah, I mean, this team still has potential. It's still scary, but as poorly behaved as it is, who knows? I'm guessing Chris doesn't want to hire any more people. This way he still has a slot for hiring a star player if he needs to, so that's what I would assume is going to happen. But yeah, not a great week for Chris, but luckily not a great week for Orville either. Orville's death is his Witch Elf, which is really unfortunate because that was one of his best pieces. Yeah, no good. Got a miss next game on this Dauntless Runner, or Blitzer, which is pretty good for everybody Orville's going to be facing next week. Only 30k because Orville can't roll high at all. Yeah, I'm not seeing any level ups here. Yeah, nothing. Dodge, wrestle, block, dodge. Yeah, this team is in not in great shape. So Orville needs to hire me another piece. He could just wait and hire another Witch Elf, which is what I would probably do. I think the funny thing about this Witch Elf dying is this Witch Elf had Sure Feet as well and died on a go for it, for what Chris said. So rolling double ones with Sure Feet and then dying is pretty much terrible. It's just awful. So yeah, that was the week. My predictions, I think, were pretty okay. I think I said, yeah, I think I got this mostly right. I think I might have been wrong here. But otherwise, I think I was wrong here too. Either way, is what it is. So rankings change a little bit. Chris falls to the bottom with Andrew's win. Tiebreaker goes to Zack though, because I think Zack won the head-to-head. So Zack is at 7th, Orville hovering at 6th. Andrew was the 5th, Jessup stays at 4th. Pretty much no change here at the top 4, which is kind of what we expected. Wanted to quick bring up the old ranking graph, which hopefully you can see here. But basically, as you can see, things kind of went up and up and up and up, and then there's a big separation here. But I don't know, mostly the graph is interesting to look at, to see how teams did. over time. I mean, you can definitely see a big gap where things separate around week 5 to 7. The huge kind of fight right at the end there. I don't know. It was a pretty good regular season. If we look at results overall too, you can kind of see how each team did. Obviously, up is wins, down is losses here. Chris having kind of one of the sadder graphs, Orville being all over the place. Zack, if you couldn't see on the rankings, Zack learning to play better is really evident. Jessup's trials and tribulations. It was a pretty good regular season, honestly. Let's take a look at, I think, the exciting thing though. Regular season had a lot of this. This is what I call Skull Mountain. This is all of the deaths we've had. The only one missing here is Andrew, who has suffered no deaths. Everyone else has at least 2 at this point, which is pretty impressive. Jessup and Chris leading with 7 and 5 respectively, by quite a big margin. But yeah, we've had a lot of deaths this season. The big flat line here is the remaining weeks, obviously, but yeah, the mountain is pretty scary. A different view of that, which is a little more interesting, I think, is Casualty Tower. Casualty Tower is sort of just the reflection of casualties, much like Skull Mountain, and it's pretty even, honestly. No one really is left out, although some people have less damage. Like Granick's team only suffered 21 casualties, Andrew's team only 26, Vampires with 62. Part of that is self-inflicted, obviously, but yeah, a lot of casualties overall this season, and more to come, so that's exciting. I'm going to do kind of some more statistical stuff, just because it's a good time to do it. Just big highlight things. I think the biggest thing to note is money, probably, at this stage. Orville's biggest problem is that he hasn't rolled any money. Orville's rolled a total of 510,000 the whole season, average of like 36,000 each game. That's not enough to sustain. Only team that is close to that bad is Andrew with 40,000 a game, total of 560k rolled total, but Andrew's team hasn't died. Andrew hasn't shredded players left, right, and center. Yeah, Andrew actually has the highest performing average team, average matches played, basically, with 12.69. That means of his players, they've played an average of 12.69, which is just a reflection of how often they've stayed in the game. Not a lot of missed next games here. Interestingly, Orville is actually second in that department with 12.18 games on average played. And a big part of that is how much churn he's had individually. Most of his injuries have piled up on like one guy, right? Or he's killed the same pieces over and over again. So while most of his people are not there, he still has had one piece, or two pieces actually, that have played every single game. So not too bad. Mark, obviously the worst. 7.79 matches average played, which I think is kind of interesting because Mark also has some of the best removal on the field, but he's lost so many players, it's kind of unavoidable. 36 casualties over the course of the season is actually not that bad compared to my 40, for example. But still, it's a pretty hard thing to get over. So yeah, obviously we're gonna have more stats and statistics as we go forward, but I wanted to quick highlight those because I think they're probably most important overall. Yeah, it's been a weird season. Just weird. Weird good though. Let's take a look at the group stage. As you can see from these rankings here, this is a pretty good split for what it is. Group 2 here, kind of a mess. Group 1, also a bit of a mess. You've got Andrew and I, two hard-hitting teams. Well, a hitting team and a hard-hitting team versus two relatively squished teams. They're both finesse teams, so they will probably be okay, except for Chris, who can't. His vampires just don't do anything, so not a lot for him. Jessup, though, can still make it, so hopefully fingers crossed for him. Orville in kind of a bad spot, being in Murder Town. This is actually a pretty hard group for Mark as well. I think he can definitely outplay all these teams, but he's had bad matches against all of them, except for Orville, who he's crushed time and time again. So we'll see how that goes. Andrew, I think, probably is the easiest group, because I think he's won games against all three of us, except for Jessup. I think he lost a game to him. Let's take a look. That's not what we want. Let's take a quick look, actually. Let's see here. Tie game here and loss here. So performance against Jessup is not that great. Interestingly, for whatever reason, the game is ranking Chris above Andrew in the group stage. Whatever, that doesn't matter that much. Let's take a look at the calendar here. So moving to the cup stage, as it's called. This is just what I call the group stage, but overall, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Everybody will play each other twice, and then we'll go to the playoffs. But order is relatively important, so we're going to quick summarize it here. I play against Chris. I mean, these are all based on rankings, right? So these matches are pretty set. But I go from Chris to Andrew, for example, and then on to Jessup. So not that great, all things considered. And then back to Andrew, back to Jessup, and then with Chris. So it's not too bad, honestly. My Andrew games being close-ish together aren't great, but I mean, they're always going to be close-ish. There's not a lot you can do about it. Actually, they're not really that close-ish at all, are they? Yeah, there's 1 week separate, not that bad. Same for a lot of other people here. I don't know. It's kind of hard to draw predictions here in the first week. I think that everybody's got kind of an equally difficult path because the groups are so small. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anybody having a super easy schedule. If we look at the last week here, depending on how these matchups set up, this could be good for all of us. I don't know. These last weeks are both pretty ridiculous, all things considered, so whatever. I don't want to draw too much to it until we get more into the group stage, because it's hard to predict how much those matches will matter. We'll take a look at these games, though. Me versus Chris. 1,600 team value for me. Chris is sitting on, assuming normal level ups here, 1,580. Assuming no purchases, nothing given up by me. I think I definitely could lose this game, but I think it's relatively unlikely. Last couple times we've met, I've beat Chris pretty resoundingly. That's not the right one, but yeah, I mean, he's put the hurt on me for sure, but I think I can do it. I'm not super worried about this game. I think I'm going to win it because Chris's vampires are awful. Andrew versus Jessup. This is going to be a pretty brutal match. Andrew's team is so scary, hardcore, difficult to fight now. Not a straight-on battle. You really have to avoid them, break them apart, all that kind of stuff, which is not going to be easy to do, certainly. 1620 team value for him. Let's take a look at Jessup. If he buys just the Rat Ogre, Jessup will be at 1570, so it only would give him 50k, which is not really that much. A Babe is not really enough to stem this tide. We'll see. I mean, Jessup has a way of making things work sometimes, but Skaven bullshit aside, I don't know how much this team will do. If Jessup plays as scared against Andrew as he did against me, he's not going to do anything. He's really got to abuse the gutter runners. He's got to play this game. I mean, part of Jessup's problem, and I should mention this in recap, is it was always sunny the whole game when we played, but he still should be going for these throws. They don't have to be super deep, they don't have to be super long, but you need the threats back there. He also got a little unlucky, one dodge out, whatever. The point is, should be a hard matchup for Jessup. Jessup likes to fight, and this is not a team that can fight. So kick is a really good skill. Both teams have it, though, so we'll see how deciding that is. First sessions will be a big deal. If Andrew can 2-1 grind successfully, we'll see what happens. I'm going to give it to Andrew, though. His team is just so much tougher than Jessup's, and this team is pretty much scary overall. And Andrew's probably one of my lead contenders for potentially winning the whole thing. On to Group 2, we've got a rematch of this week, Granick versus Zack here, which I'm sure they're thrilled to be playing each other again so quickly. I'm going to compare. Both times Critic won. This week I put a lot of stock in because Zack was still really learning how to play the game, basically. We'll see. I mean, this is a scary matchup for both of them. No real level ups for either is pretty terrifying. I'm going to give the advantage to Granick just because Smiley is still a big jerk. Ionic is a really good piece. This team is has a little slightly better odds of getting the ball free, I think, Jessup, oh my God, than Zack does. So I think that's the biggest thing. recent performance too. I mean, the nice part about having the week before is that I know exactly how the match went. I don't think anyone's getting anything. 1,600 team value for Zack. 1,650. Okay, so Zack will get a babe. Assuming Granick doesn't hire anybody, which wouldn't be the end of the world, honestly, if she does. So babe to 110, depending on what she decides to do. I'm going to say tie here. I think Granick's win was something that was a little more lucky than anything else. I think if Zack is a little luckier with his hits, he'll be better. We'll see. I haven't watched the game yet either in its entirety, so that's hard to tell for sure. Then we've got Norse versus Dark Elf. Mark is probably pretty happy for this matchup, honestly. Because yes, Abed is missed next game. Chang is missed next game. But a lot of his core hitting things are still here. He's still got a lot of removal. 1450 team value versus 1310. So 140. I don't know what Orville will get. Probably a reroll and apothecary. I don't know. Last time these teams fought, I believe it went poorly both times. Yeah. I mean, Mark was a little scary each time, but I don't know. I mean, Orville's team has gotten really solid looking over the past couple weeks, so we'll see. Elf bullshit is definitely possible, but I still give the edge to Mark. I'm going to give the edge to Mark. I think Mark's hitting power is still really good. Orville doesn't have any especially good hitting things. I mean, it's an elf team. These things are really expected. So we'll see. Yeah, advantage Mark, I think, is a pretty safe bet. Yeah. Quick perusal through the Hall of Fame. Real quick here. Abed's the most experienced player, hanging on by a thread here. Smiley catching up a little bit, though. Best scorer is the Dean. Good job, Dean. Best throwing. Hui still throwing hard. Hooray for Carrot taking over a slot here from Mark's domination. Most Vaughn players still belongs to Abed, although we'll see. Smiley has a week where Abed is off, so we'll see what happens there. Best runner, Ocelot Atlas now ahead by 20 yards, which Mark, I'm sure, is not thrilled about. No one else really super close to these teams. Well, I guess this piece is pretty close. Best runner in terms of yards, Orville still throws farther than anybody, not by that much. I think Jessup will catch up pretty soon here. No one else really has that kind of throwing dominance. Survivor still doesn't mean anything for us. Man, we have so many deaths this week. It's kind of terrible how many deaths we've had this week. All told, by the way, in case you couldn't really get a picture of it, we've had a total of 19 kills, but I think we've had... just don't have a stat done up for that. Let's do a quick 10... 24 deaths this season, which is pretty gross. Best receiver, Richard 13th, catching a lot of balls here. Pretty much, except for Ocelot Atlas, is all Skaven and Dark Elf and a couple vampire players. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ocelot Atlas fall down here. Part of this is just Ocelot Atlas has got extra arms. So whatever. Quick recap for how I think the week will go. AKA the beginning of the end here. I think that I will win. I think that Andrew will win. I think that this will be a tie game, and I think that Mark will win. So we'll see how wrong I am next week. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you later.